If your checking account says you have $3,000, how much of that money can you actually spend today? Probably not $3,000. Some belongs to rent, utilities, insurance, savings, groceries, and bills that haven't arrived yet. That confusion is where a lot of overspending begins. A simple two-account system can give every dollar a job before you get the chance to accidentally spend it. Number 1. Your bank balance is not your spending limit. Most people look at one checking account balance and mentally treat it as available money, but that number mixes several completely different purposes. You may have $4,000 in checking, while $2,000 is needed for rent, $500 is reserved for other bills, and another $400 should be saved. The problem isn't necessarily a lack of discipline. The information you're looking at is misleading. You need a balance that actually represents what you're free to spend. Number 2. Use two accounts for two different jobs. The basic system uses two checking accounts. The first is your bills account. Income comes in here, and important financial commitments leave from here. The second is your spending account. This is the account you use for normal day-to-day purchases. You can still have separate savings, retirement, and investment accounts. The two-account idea is mainly about separating committed money from spendable money. Number 3. Build the system from real spending. Before deciding how much goes into your spending account, look at your actual spending. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau recommends reviewing several months of checking and credit card activity when assessing your spending.
Don't build a budget around the person you wish you were. If groceries normally cost $600, writing down $300 doesn't magically make groceries cost less. Start with reality, then improve it. Number 4. Protect the bills account. Your bills account should handle things that have already claimed part of your income: housing, utilities, insurance, minimum debt payments, phone service, subscriptions you intentionally keep, and other predictable obligations. Ideally, you don't carry the debit card for this account in your wallet. The goal is simple. When you see money in this account, you don't think, "I can spend that." You think, "That money already has somewhere to go." Number 5. Save before money reaches your spending account. Savings should be treated like a planned expense rather than whatever happens to survive until the end of the month. You might automatically move money from the bills account to an emergency fund, retirement account, or other savings goal shortly after payday. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau recommends automatic saving and notes that some employers allow workers to split direct deposit between multiple accounts. Automation removes one repeated decision from your life. Number 6. Calculate your real spending money. Now, calculate what you can safely spend. Suppose Maria brings home $4,200 per month. Her fixed and necessary bills total $2,450. She assigns $650 to savings and extra debt repayment. She also reserves $300 for irregular expenses. That leaves $800 for flexible spending. That $800, not the original $4,200, is the number she should use when deciding whether she can afford restaurants, entertainment, clothes, and other flexible purchases.
Number 7. Give yourself a weekly allowance. A monthly spending limit can still create trouble. If Maria receives all $800 on the first day of the month, the account may feel unusually comfortable. A few expensive weekends can consume most of it before the month is over. Instead, she could convert $800 per month into roughly $185 per week by multiplying 800 by 12 months and dividing by 52 weeks. Then her spending account receives about $185 every week. Number 8. Make payday boring. The system becomes powerful when the transfers happen automatically. Your paycheck enters the bills account. Automatic transfers move money towards savings and other goals. Bills are paid from the bills account. Your weekly allowance moves to the spending account. Only the amount intended for everyday spending becomes easily available for everyday spending. You're no longer asking yourself dozens of times each month whether you can afford something. The system has already answered much of that question. Number 9. Let the spending account tell you when to stop. Imagine your spending account has $72 left on Thursday. Your friends suggest a $60 dinner. Now the trade-off is obvious. You technically have enough money, but spending $60 leaves only $12 until the next transfer. That's very different from looking at a bills account containing several $1,000s. Behavioral economists describe a related idea as mental accounting. People often organize money into different mental categories, which can influence spending decisions. Here, you're turning those mental categories into actual accounts. Number 10. Don't secretly refill the spending account. This is where people can accidentally destroy the system. You spend your weekly allowance by Friday, transfer another $100 from the bills account, and promise yourself you'll spend less next week. Do that repeatedly, and you're back to having one big pile of money. Running low is supposed to create a decision point. You can change your plan when something genuinely important happens, but repeatedly rescuing yourself from ordinary discretionary overspending defeats the purpose. Number 11. Be careful with overdraft protection. If you want your spending account to create a harder boundary, review its overdraft settings. Federal rules generally prevent banks from charging overdraft fees for ATM withdrawals and one-time debit card transactions unless you've opted in to that overdraft service. Other transactions, including certain checks and recurring electronic payments, can work differently. Check your bank's specific rules rather than assuming every declined transaction will behave the same way. Number 12. Credit cards can punch a hole through the system. A spending account containing $40 doesn't stop you from putting a $500 purchase on a credit card. That's why credit card users need an additional rule. Don't treat available credit as available spending money. If you charge purchases that are part of your weekly allowance, you still need to track those purchases against that allowance and keep enough cash available to pay the bill. Otherwise, the bank account boundary is meaningless because you're simply overspending with borrowed money. Number 13. Create a home for irregular expenses. Car repairs, annual insurance premiums, holiday gifts, school expenses, medical bills, and home maintenance don't happen every Friday, but they're not automatically emergencies. Create what is often called a sinking fund, money gradually saved for expenses you reasonably expect. If you expect several irregular costs during the year, setting aside a little each payday keeps those bills from suddenly attacking your spending account. This is one of the biggest improvements you can make to a simple two-account setup. Number 14. Keep a buffer in the bills account. Timing isn't always perfect. A utility payment might be larger than expected. A bill may process earlier than usual. Your paycheck could arrive around a holiday. Keeping some extra cash in the bills account can reduce the chance that a small timing problem causes a missed payment or overdraft. How large that buffer should be depends on your income stability, bills, and available savings. The important point is that buffer money is not extra spending money. Number 15. Don't pay fees just to have more accounts. Before opening another checking account, examine the fee schedule. Some accounts have monthly maintenance fees or minimum balance requirements, although many banks offer low-fee or no-fee options under certain conditions. A budgeting system designed to save money shouldn't quietly cost you unnecessary banking fees. You can also check whether your existing bank or credit union already allows multiple checking accounts without additional monthly charges. Number 16. Adjust the system for variable income. If your paycheck changes every month, don't automatically increase spending every time you have a good month. Start with essential obligations and decide on a conservative amount you can regularly transfer to the spending account. When income is higher, you can deliberately assign the extra money to upcoming bills, savings, debt,
irregular expenses, or additional spending. The important word is deliberately. Without a rule, unusually high income can quickly become unusually high spending. Number 17. Couples need one shared definition of spendable. This system becomes especially useful when two people share finances, but both people need to understand the boundaries. A couple might use a household bills account for shared expenses and separate spending accounts for personal discretionary money. Another couple may prefer one shared spending account. The exact arrangement matters less than having clear rules about which money is committed, which money is flexible, and what happens before someone moves additional money. Number 18. Review the numbers instead of blaming yourself. Your first spending limit may be wrong. Maybe groceries consistently cost more than you expected. Maybe you discover 3 subscriptions you don't value. Maybe commuting costs changed after you returned to the office. Review the system periodically and adjust the numbers. A good budget isn't a punishment for breaking last month's budget. It's a financial plan based on the life you're actually living. If a category is repeatedly unrealistic, fix the plan rather than pretending the problem doesn't exist. Number 19. Know what this system cannot fix. No banking trick can solve a permanent gap between income and necessary expenses. If someone earns $3,500 per month, but basic obligations consume $3,700, separating the money into 2 accounts doesn't create another $200.
That situation requires different decisions: reducing expenses where possible, restructuring debt when appropriate, increasing income, or getting qualified financial assistance. The 2-account system is strongest when enough income exists, but too much of the available money is being spent unintentionally. Number 20. Make overspending inconvenient, not life miserable. The title says this system can make overspending impossible. Nothing involving money is literally impossible when you can move money, borrow, or change the rules. A better goal is to make overspending inconvenient and obvious. Your important money stays protected. Savings happen automatically. Your spending account shows a believable number, and when that number gets low, you receive immediate feedback before tomorrow's money becomes today's impulse purchase. That small amount of friction can be much more useful than trying to win the same willpower battle every day. The best financial system isn't the one that requires perfect discipline. It's the one that quietly guides ordinary decisions in the right direction. If you created a separate spending account today, which category would be most likely to use up your weekly allowance first?